We are recording. It is Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. Welcome to the Boulder Junction Access District Commission meeting. I will call roll. Susan Grant.
So we are having a hard time hearing you.
She muted right now.
Shoot.
Can you hear me now? Yes.
Kind of. You're cutting out somewhat, but I think when you're closer to the microphone, it helps.
Okay, I'm here reading the packet.
Jennifer Schreiber. Rebecca's not coming. Stephanie Pike, you're here. Brian Cook.
Present.
Kevin Knapp.
Present.
And Robin Ronan.
Present.
I will now hand the meeting over to the chair for procedural items.
Thank you. We believe we have 2 meeting minutes to approve. I think the March 6th one is TDM only, but I don't know if we have a quorum for TDM, do we?
We do not.
Okay, so we can skip that one then. And then for parking, believe we have a quorum. We can approve unless there are questions or comments or revisions for the March 20th meeting minutes. Anyone have discussion items for those? Would someone like to make a motion?
I move to approve the minutes for March 20th.
Do we need a second for that? Or can we just vote?
I heard a second from Kevin.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. All in favor of approving the March minutes? From the 20th? Okay. So unanimous approval there. Thank you. I believe that moves us to the welcome to Stephanie. I don't see an attendance. Oh, Stephanie's present in person.
Yes.
In person.
Hello. Pardon me.
Sweet.
So Stephanie, we do have an oath of office for you. If you don't mind standing up and so you can be in the camera so everybody can see you clearly. So just repeat after me, and you can raise your right hand if you'd like, but we're not super formal here.
Gotcha.
It's not the United Nations. Yes. So I state your name, do solemnly swear or affirm.
I, Stephanie Pike, do solemnly swear or affirm
I will support the Constitution of the United States of America.
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
And of the state of Colorado.
and of the state of Colorado.
And the charter and ordinances of the city of Boulder.
And the charter and ordinances of the city of Boulder.
And faithfully perform the duties of the office of a member of the Boulder Junction Access District.
And oh gosh, I can't remember those. Right. Yeah, faithfully, where's that part? Okay, perform the duties of the office of a member of the Boulder Junction Access District. Yeah.
Travel Demand Management Commission.
Travel Demand Management Commission.
Which I am about to enter.
Which I'm about to
enter. That is a mouthful.
That is a lot.
Okay, congratulations. You are now sworn in.
Thank you.
Get recorded.
And Chris Jennifer Schreiber.
Oh, great. And we now have Jennifer, Mr. Chair, if you'd like to go back and approve the minutes.
Sure.
And then we can do a formal intro of Stephanie.
Okay, great. Jennifer, welcome. Before we go further, we just wanted, while you're here, to do an approval of the March 6th meeting minutes. This would be a vote for the TDM commission. Did you have any comments, questions, or revisions for those minutes? Okay. If you'd like to make a motion, then our TDM members should be able to vote to approve those.
Move that we approve the March 6th minutes.
I think I saw you say second, Sue, but we did not, that did not come through in the audio. So if our, all in favor from TDM for approving those minutes, if you can raise your hands. Okay, I saw approval there. And then the same would go for the March 20th minutes. Did you have any revisions for or suggestions for those? Okay. We could do another motion then and vote to approve those.
I move that we approve the March 20th minutes.
Sue, I think I maybe heard you say second. Okay. I saw it at least. Yeah. And all in favor for the 20th minutes? Okay. We have approval for those as well. Thank you. Okay, then jumping back forward, welcome, Stephanie. Very happy to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Chris, did you have thoughts on any other discussion points for Stephanie's joining us?
If you were so inclined, I'd be glad to have Stephanie share a little bit about herself and why she's interested in participating on the commission, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, that's a great idea. Thanks. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Sure. I haven't met anyone else on the TDM commission, so that would be nice to have that connection. I live in Boulder Junction, and I bought my condo there about 2 years ago. I don't own a car, and so part of the transportation piece was interesting to me. And I've always been interested in getting more involved in city government. I'm a business executive, and I will be downshifting out of that life in the next 1 to 2 years. And so I'd love to get more involved in City of Boulder and helping Boulder be a better place. So this is like the first step in that transition. So I'm very happy to be here, and thank you for welcoming me.
Thanks.
Wonderful. Would the other commissioners like to do just a brief intro of themselves for to Stephanie? I'm happy to go first. My name's Ryan Cook. I'm a resident of the city of Boulder. I do not live in Boulder Junction. I've been participating on the commission for 4 or 5 years, give or take. And also have similar motivations to you, just interested in participating and supporting city government, as well as seeing, you know, the Boulder Junction area develop and trying to bring perspective and support to that effort. So glad to have you here and nice to meet you. Robin?
Hi, I'm Robin Ronen. Like Ryan, I am also not a Boulder Junction directly resident. I'm a resident of Boulder as well. I've been on the parking commission for the past year, and we're really delighted to have you on the team. Always happy to have. I don't live in Boulder Junction, but I live super duper close, and I bike through your neighborhood all the time. Like you, I do not have a primary car. So I'm happy to have somebody else on the team who's a primary biker. And I work at CU Boulder, and I worked in the parking department there for 2 years prior to my current role. So just really, really happy to have you on board.
Jennifer?
Yeah. Hi, Stephanie, and welcome, and hello, everybody. So I'm Jen Shriver. I am a resident of the city of Boulder. I live on 30th Street down at Baseline, so sort of the other end from you, but I am excited about Boulder Junction and the Transit Village, and longtime environmentalist with a focus on transportation. And love that you don't own a car. I have a car light. I still own one, but just one for the family, and we supplement with biking and bus. And so I am just really interested to welcome you and to see what we can do to improve transportation demand management and options at Boulder Junction and through the city, ideally.
Nice to meet you, Jennifer.
Okay. Hey, Stephanie, my name's Kevin Knapp. I'm spend my days in an affordable housing development and developed a few projects in the northern part of Boulder Junction. Um, I do not, I don't live in the Junction, but I live in Boulder and been participant here on both boards. I think probably past chairs of both boards, probably probably assistant chair of both, vice chair of both boards as well. And now I'm just on the parking board and transitioning out this year. So glad to bring in new energy into the commissions.
Nice to meet you, Kevin.
Can you hear me, Ryan? Okay. I'm Supran on TDM. I know I was on both boards and then I was just on the TDM. So maybe like 7 years. I'm also the executive director of community cycles. I don't live in the Junction, but I live very close, like 29th and Belmont. So and nice to have you here.
Awesome. Thank you, Sue.
And Will, you're
Wonderful.
welcome to introduce yourself if you'd like.
Little audio, Chris, was that directed to me?
It was. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Hi, Stephanie. Welcome to the crew. I'm part of the Boulder Chamber in the Transportation Connections Division with my supervisor, Karen Warminghouse. A big part of my role on the team is managing TDM programs for Boulder Junction residents and employees. So I'm very happy to hear that you live there. We might have some conversations down the line regarding an EcoPass and the new digital MyRide app. I can also share a little bit of an update if it pleases the group for today. But that's sort of my role in the participation here is specifically the TDM for employees and residents within Boulder Junction. As Transportation Connections, we also offer that across the community. And then as part of the chamber, we offer even more specified support to our members. So happy to be here and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Will. I think that moves us on to welcoming Lauren to our group.
Yes, thank you so much, Ryan. I want to get Lauren on camera. Lauren has joined the Community Vitality team as a board specialist to assist our business services team, and Lisa and all of you. You've been getting emails from Lauren. So she is taking the lead in the regular commission management for our 5 commissions. Sorry, it's hard to keep track. Our 5 commissions. And so, Lauren, would you like to introduce yourself and say a little bit more about you?
Yeah, I'm Lauren. I've been with the city for about a year and a half and in this position for about a month. And I'm really enjoying getting to know all the districts and what y'all are doing in them. So I'm really glad to meet you all.
It's great. Thank you, Lauren. Welcome. Okay, I see a note here next about elections for chair and vice chair.
Yeah, now that we have a new commission member, typically we've added this to the agenda at the commission's discretion with the new person available, to vote on new leadership. This is an opportunity if you so desire.
Well, we don't have Rebecca here today, and I believe since Stephanie's joining TDM only, we might want to postpone discussion to a future meeting for that. Does anybody else have comments, other commissioners on that idea?
I completely agree with you. I really think that she should be present for that.
Okay, sounds good. Is that all right, Chris, if we postpone till future meeting?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, that moves us into public participation. Do we have any members of the public here today?
We do show one member of the public who has raised their hand. So let's see, Travis Hugh-Coley, if you can allow him to unmute.
That's great. Welcome, Travis. Thank you.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Okay. Well, I don't have much to say. This so far has been really fun, and I want to add into the cheer. I'm really just introducing myself. I'm also a resident in Boulder Junction. I live in Depot Square. I've been in Boulder for 22 years non-consecutively. I guess it was 6 years in Jefferson County as a kid. Let's see. I receive benefits from HUD. I'm a housing choice voucher recipient with BHP. I hope to be helpful, just in encouraging what's going on. Let's see, about myself. I've traveled. I've seen many different kinds of cities. I love bicycles. I don't know how you'll top this. I've been car free for 34 years. And I've always been part of an urban experiment of some kind. Let's see. I kind of feel like, as a resident coming into this Boulder Junction area, that we're really looking at an urban Boulder. So if there's room for discussion on that, well, that'll be fun. If there's any two things off the top of my mind that I would say I hope to see down the line, 5 years down the line, is some 24-hour business zoning in this area. That's one thing I raised. And the other is cobblestones on the train line between phase 1 and phase 2. Thank you. Look forward to the meeting.
Thank you for joining, Travis, and for telling us a bit about yourself and what you're interested in. Curious, when you think about 24-hour zoning, if you could just clarify a little bit more, is there specific types of businesses that you're thinking about?
Well, I missed a point. Back years ago, when Twitter was Twitter and Google had an empty lot catty corner to it, I really hoped for a confluence of housing to occur. So it's been really in harmony with my opinion, all of the changes that I've seen in the last 10 years. Seeing the complexity of such a dense environment coming together here, I think will just down the line be a good host to a dense residence environment. People who are not used to living in an urban environment like this, I felt it myself, need to take a walk, and that walk happens at any time. So, there's certain conveniences, spots around, but like the gas station on 26th Street and 7-Eleven, but these are very far out from a 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock perspective. We are looking at a very dry zone. So I wonder what others might think about that. And I don't mean dry in a specific sense. I mean, there aren't conveniences available to people. I prefer it to be dry. That's just my opinion.
I would say, as a resident, I feel that too. Like, I don't go out much at night because, well, as a single woman, there's some safety things that I shared with you when you were recruiting me. But then in addition, like, there aren't a lot of places to go and to just socialize and such. So I know that that's not part of the transportation group, but like, what could we do to build like abilities to reach back out to business stakeholders, that where they would be incented to establish those kinds of places where people like him could walk at night, similar, or me, like, sometimes it's like 10:30 at night. Last night I was kind of had insomnia, and it'd be nice to be able to go out for a walk, but I didn't really feel like I could do that. So I understand what you're saying. Yeah, for sure.
Am I still on mic here? I don't
We
know
can
if
hear you, yes.
Yeah, I'm only adding to what would really be required is in creating some sense of space from that third shift sort of perspective, where there could be surveillance, an employee, some place where emergencies can be handled at those hours, where someone can turn to that place for help, etc.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions for Travis?
I have a question for Travis. First of all, Travis, thank you so much for coming on today. It's always nice to have a member of the public. I feel like we probably all wish that members of the public would join more. Do you mind if I ask how you heard about today's meeting? So maybe we can tell people where to find us a little bit more.
I found you on the calendar of the Boulder City Council site.
Great.
I pay attention to City Council. I'm part of the Residents Advisory Board for, I guess, the new generation of it for BHP, and so I'm really trying to learn how my participation can be most suitable to my environment.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Sue?
We can't hear you, Sue. You're muted.
Sorry. As far as the retail, like I know that I'm also on Better Boulder, that the developers on that group talked about how the retail in phase one kind of wasn't set up that great because it's not really close to each other. And that one of the comments we submitted for phase two was make the retail more viable by bunching it. But the other thing that, just kind of personally, they kept saying when they were building Boulder Junction, like housing, and housing is great. But I think this is kind of the other side of housing, is that there's not really anything to do but housing there. And I mean, I don't know, we don't have the place to do anything about it, but I think that was kind of the directive from council. But I don't know, maybe Kevin has any thoughts on it, although we're getting sidetracked.
I'll only make the comment that there is plenty of vacant retail space there for any business that would like to come in and operate their shopping district.
Well, to that point, Kevin, that's why, as a resident, I'm curious of why, like, what's the root cause analysis to why people aren't occupying that space? Like, I would absolutely love it. I would go there all the time, right? And, but it seems like there's something like systemic that's causing them not to fill in that space, whether it's macroeconomic or otherwise.
Is it too expensive?
Yeah, I don't know what the I don't know what the exact cause is. I know from a ownership intention, I mean, we'd feel the same way as residents, that the last thing that you would want is a dark box, as far as, empty space there. So nothing's activated, and there's no revenue or any vitality really being created there. I think that, the lack of direct parking probably plays into it to some regard. I don't know how much that is, but I think it's a special tenant that needs to fit some of these spaces. So that's something that I've been trying to figure out. We've been trying to figure out why it's been less active. We certainly had more interest when it was being developed and excitement in the just in Boulder Junction in general. And yeah, I don't have the formula quite figured out yet to figure out why that hasn't leased more. I mean, the activation is certainly there. I think having one, at least in Spark, speaking to the northernmost project, having one empty office building hasn't helped. I think that project in particular was designed around having sort of all day activation, as far as office workers there during the day, getting lunches, getting coffees, and then residents moving in at night, and that, together, create more hours of activation. It was also, based on or at least very initially, based on the thought of a train coming, and we know where that is right now. Always off into the future. So I don't know. Now that we have more of the district is built out and there is more housing, because I'll always say that you can't have the retail without the housing and the people there to support it, or at least the offices. And now with more of the district coming to more complete build out, my hope is that it'll become a more attractive place for some of the business owners to come in, run their business.
We're hoping for that too. Thanks, Kevin. And thank you, Travis, again for joining today.
You're welcome.
I think we'll move forward to the update from you, Will.
Great. Yeah, I'll echo Travis's comment. This has been a jubilant and a very enjoyable meeting so far. So happy to be here. As I mentioned, I work on the Transportation Connections team, administering specifically the EcoPass program in Boulder Junction, as well as advocating for overall TDM with emphasis on Boulder B-Cycle, which provides a free annual membership to all residents and employees, as well as Colorado Car Share, which provides a substantial discount of $100 value. Anyone within the qualified housing of 30 Pearl, Depot Square, and Spark West gets an even better deal with Car Share. And I'm emphasizing that just so the group is aware, because at the Chamber, we certainly feel that affordable and equitable access to shared vehicles, particularly electric vehicles that have recently been installed and put into reservable access at 30 Pearl in the underground garage, is one of the most effective means of mobility inclusivity in multimodal parts. So we're fans of car share, and I also try to help that along. For a bit of context, we've just today I had 22 new staff members from Splunk added into the EcoPass program. I've talked with TransPerfect and RMI, who are businesses that are based within the Boulder Junction buildings, and they're navigating return to work plans. NetApp, we hosted a lunch and learn. They actually hosted. I attended their lunch and learn 2 weeks ago, and they're having a quite clear return to work plan that's phasing in over the next 2 months. So I'm expecting 80 to 120 staff from that individual large company to start frequenting places like Cassie's Cafe, which I highly recommend. It's really great. She's also building out a new boutique, which I'm hopeful for. We're planning to set up a bike to work day station there. So anyone who lives in or frequents the neighborhood, please come by. The TDM uptake I see as incrementally growing, at least from the enlistment standpoint. I don't quite have statistics on usage in terms of how many people are actively taking the bus, how many times, but I do regularly get requests from property managers at the timber and platform housing developments, as well as companies such as Uplight and NetApp, who are pretty actively hiring into the district. So it's very positive for us to see. We're also supporting Regan Brown and Lane Landreth with a Commutify program that rewards folks for clean commutes that would not be driving their own vehicle by themselves. And some of those rewards can be redeemed within Boulder Junction. We've already got Curtis Park Deli, Zeal Restaurant, and Cassie's Cafe in the queue to receive those rewards. So downtown employees who are at participating businesses can frequent, or I should say, redeem their rewards once they have those accumulated at Boulder Junction businesses. So I see that as a positive way to drive more traffic into the district. And we're really promoting the alternative modes, such that if they are coming to Boulder Junction, they can try a B-Cycle, take the hot bus. And a quick news flash to share with the group, the Bustang system run by CDOT is now doing Estes Park shuttles starting this weekend. And they will be stopping at the terminal in Depot Square. So this is still fairly fresh news, but if it benefits the group, I can put that link into the chat for the news release. And I'm happy to field any questions that might come up.
Thanks, Will. Definitely would love a link in the chat related to the Bustang announcement. Any other comments or questions for Will? Go ahead, Jen.
This actually ties back to the previous question about activation when I was thinking about there's the Roadhouse at Boulder Junction, there's Zeal, I'm not sure, coffee shops, or are there options to invite those businesses to stay open later? I guess I'm wondering if there's city code issues or other constraints.
That's a good question. I don't know that if they don't serve alcohol, then I don't know that there's specific constraints other than they do need to go through a licensing process and communicate what their intended hours of operation are. And if you want to be open later than 11 p.m., there is a use review component to that. Oh, and yeah, if you want to serve alcohol after 11 p.m., then, and sorry, I didn't hear correctly the location. So yeah, if Roadhouse wants to stay open after 11 p.m., they have to go through a use review to do that. But I don't know of anything that would prohibit them outright, but there is process, especially considering the zone that they're in and, you know, how their business wants to operate late night.
Right. Yeah, thanks very much, Chris.
Thanks, Jen. Will, do you know if the use of the Boulder Junction station means the underground pull around or if it means the on-street?
That's a great question, Ryan. I'm not actually sure. I'll put a quote into the chat, which I see that CDOT Bustang is referring to this as Boulder Junction at Depot Square Station, which to me infers underground access, which would then explicitly require unlocking security and I think staffing. I'm not sure if RTD would actually staff a station there because most of Bustang's ticketing is digital. Looks like $15, but I'll put that as well in the chat for context.
Thanks. Okay, any other questions or comments for Will before we move forward? Great. All right, we have a couple opportunities for questions from commissioners about the consent agenda items or the fund financials. Did anyone have discussion points for those? Okay, I see a hand.
Yeah, sorry, it took me a minute to find the raise hand. I'm just wondering, in the past, someone has kind of walked us through those numbers. Is that going to happen this time, or did we just need to understand from the packet?
So the intent of providing the fund financials is we include these in every packet. We certainly go through in more detail when we're actually doing our budget planning process. And so at our next meeting, as we're contemplating the 2025 budget, there will be a more detailed presentation. But then in your packets, we'll include these updates just to see how the year is going.
Great. Thanks, Chris. Very helpful. So yeah, I have no questions.
I had just a clarifying question, and I don't know if this is, I mean, it's part of the financials, but it's really the Q1 year over year report on the visits. I guess I was just kind of curious about the way I was reading it. It looks like we have a slight decrease in unique visitors to the district, but that the people that are coming seem to be coming more frequently or staying longer. Am I reading that correctly?
So yes, and that's actually our next agenda item.
Okay, sorry, never mind. Never mind, because I thought that was interesting and I want to know if we had some breakdowns about why that was the case.
Sure.
Sounds like we'll get right into that with Elliot here in a minute. Any other questions about the consent agenda or the financials? Okay, thanks so much.
All right. We can dive right in. So included in your packet was a Q1 report for Boulder Junction that we produced using a new tool that we have access to called Placer.ai. This is an online platform that utilizes cell phone data to make some assumptions about the number of folks who are visiting certain places, and you get to geofence those places, where those folks live and where those folks work. And using that information, make a lot of other assumptions about the demographics of users, the income level, their commute style, things like that. But we are just starting to use this tool. Elliot has volunteered to be our departmental expert. All city employees are able to have access to this tool if you have a City of Boulder or bouldercolorado.gov email address. And so we're just starting to use this tool. Looking forward to being able to provide quarterly updates to each of our commissions on how things are looking from a visitation standpoint. And Elliot's here to certainly talk through what we've presented in the Q1 report and answer questions as we are all learning more about this tool together. Great, Elliot.
Thanks, Chris. So I hope you all can see that okay. Looks like it's coming through. So yeah, to Chris's point, Placer AI allows us to geofence areas. So in other words, take a geographical location and kind of put a fence around it and get some data drawn behind that. We kind of use the Boulder Junction area, not really specifying parking or TDM, but just I guess probably TDM because it's bigger. But it would incorporate parking as well. And we're looking at a Q1 report on that from 23 versus 24. Excuse me. And you can kind of see here in blue is our 24, so on the left side of the screen, and in red is 23. So you see some of the changes in visitations and how that's kind of changed in the last quarter over quarter compared to the two. Wow, that's a tongue twister. And some of the things that we're getting into. So I know, Robin, you had a question about some of the changes in the unique visits, but it does look like our overall dwell time of people who are actually staying in the district are staying in the district. And a lot of this is aggregated data that is then also compared with census data and kind of projected. So it's not necessarily 100% accurate in terms of this is the actual thing that's happening, but it's a very strong estimate on what we're gathering. And it basically, if you have GPS tracking on your phone turned on for any of the apps or anything like that, it will ping in here. It's all anonymous, so it's not collecting personal data, but it does help us just kind of understand the flow of traffic in and out of the district. And unfortunately, we do not have unique visits for bicycles or pedestrians. It's all aggregated. So I know TDM would be very interested in bicycle movement and pedestrian movement. We're not quite there yet, but we do have at least some aggregate data. Before I go on a little bit further, Sue, I saw you had your hand raised. Did you have a quick question?
How is this different from, don't we do like travel studies with how many cars are in it? We still do that?
Yes. So this is a much more higher level tool. We still do the travel study where we actually physically put people out and count comings and goings of vehicles. So that's still part of our charter for the TDM district specifically. And I think our cadence is every other year on that. So that will still happen. This is just a bit more general.
Okay, thanks.
Great question. Thanks, Sue. So kind of going in, you can kind of see this report breaks things out in terms of like the visitations, but also time of visitations, the duration of visitations, and then the time of day, so not just the time of week, but also the time of day. And you can see here that the peaks changed a little bit over that 90-day period. Looks like in 23, we had a little bit more of a peak. And I believe no, this is Q1, sorry. I was thinking of some of the activations that we did at Boulder Junction, but that's not until later in the year. So we can see there were changes here. This could have been due to weather. This could have been just, there's a few variables here it's really hard to know exactly what's going on. And there's not a significant amount of change that, there's anything to correlate it to, but it is interesting to see that some behaviors do change as they do over time. We also, again, using that census data, collect some of the demographics that would be used in some of this information. So you can kind of see what the demographics would be to our normal visitor into Boulder Junction. And then kind of looking about that distribution of those demographics in terms of income and education, as well as ethnicity and household size. So you can see there's a large population of visits coming from that 1 to 2 persons per households. So that's kind of the difference that we're seeing here. Some of the other districts have a little bit different distribution, and I see that there's a question in the chat. We have a comparison between these demographics versus Boulder in general. Yeah, so we certainly can do that with this. We don't have it in this report here. This is kind of like a teaser, if you will, of the data that we can start pulling, so we can start comparing this across Boulder as a whole. We can compare this across our other improvement districts and see how that compares to the movement of folks. This here is a time compare. So this is the market landscape that we're seeing within Boulder Junction. So it's basically where folks coming from into the district, and you can see the bulk of people coming into the district are coming from the Boulder area, but there's also quite a bit of people coming in outside of the Boulder area, especially along Highway 36 corridor and also in the Denver metro area. And this map here just kind of gives a little bit of insight into where people are coming from. So that prior location and then where people are going to that post location. So majority of it's coming and going from home, which makes sense because there is a lot of residential in Boulder Junction. And it is a community that's kind of built around the idea of you don't really have to go that far outside of the district. But that second one is work, and then you can kind of see it goes down a little bit. Interesting enough, Target happens to be a prior location that made it up on this list outside of the other category. So a lot of people from Target are going back to Boulder Junction.
Can I add a little funny aside?
Sure.
So one of my things is I, again, don't own a car, so I get deliveries from Target. Like that's how, and I'm pretty sure I'm driving. Because I probably get 2 or 3 deliveries a week.
Yeah.
And so there's just there's actually one guy in particular who's like my main delivery guy now, and he comes and goes, but he's only there for like 2 or 3 minutes and then leaves.
Right.
So yeah. But no, I'm not surprised to see that. Yeah. Not just for myself, but like it's like because it's so convenient and it's like a community store in a way.
Exactly.
I think that goes to Travis's earlier comment about what else could we build closer. Like I would totally walk to a community like corner store if there was one,
right.
But there isn't one,
right.
So I work from Target instead.
Right.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, and that's a good point. These visits can be delivery drivers as well,
exactly.
Right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be people who are staying within the district, but that is where that dwell time comes into the picture of like, how do we understand the types of visits that are happening here? And with that dwell time being so high, you can see how the home prior and post makes a lot of sense. So here's a little bit of comparison of the week. So the distribution of visits across a week, typical week, Monday through Saturday. And you can see here that, again, 2024 is just a little bit lower than 2023. Although on Wednesday, we did have a little bit of a pickup. So maybe there's something happening on Wednesdays. Jennifer, did you have a quick question?
Yeah, I was just curious about, I saw, and maybe it was a past slide of the long dwell time of how long people stay. And do you think, is that correlated with the residential?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. So yeah, kind of going back to that prior and post being like one of the main places people are coming from are from home, and the main people are going back to the district is home, and that's a big increase of the dwell time there.
And hotel.
And hotels, absolutely. Yep. And then here's the time compare. So that first one here is over the course of a week. This next one here is kind of over the course of a typical day and how that gets distributed. It's pretty active throughout the entire day, which makes sense because that dwell time is so high and that there is so many residents living in that district that you would have a distribution. A lot of our other districts have, kind of that peak around lunch and up into dinner and then starts to fall off in the evening time. So it's quite a bit different in Boulder Junction in that we have that stability throughout. And then here's that visit duration. You can see again that dwell time, how long people are actually staying within the district is quite high. And it's majority of it's over that 150 minutes. And this map here is pretty interesting. This kind of compares the routes that people are taking into the district and kind of gets us a little bit of insight. You can kind of see, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit here. You can kind of see the distribution of those lines. The red is going to be more visits. The green is less visits. So you see that a lot of people are coming from areas that are pretty close to the district. So I think it kind of answers or kind of plays on the fact that it is a district that is, pretty tight knit. Great. And that's the end of the report. If there's any other questions, you have to answer them. Thank you all. We'll continue to update those reports, and if there are specific things that you are wanting to look at, by all means, certainly let us know. You can email Lauren, and Lauren can pass it along to us, and we can figure out how to best incorporate it. Thank you much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Elliot.
Okay.
Regan, all right. Yeah, Regan is not able to join us today, so Matt Chazansky is pinch hitting before his next item.
Yeah, great. Thanks, everyone. I just wanted to give you an update about the program that's coming to Boulder Junction soon. We've been collaborating with Roots Music Project on a concert series. Many of the events are taking place on the Hill, but we wanted to make sure that we had a signature event in Boulder Junction. It's a program that's called On the Rise, a celebration of past, present, and future Boulder music. Roots Music Project, which is very near the district, they have their site over in Belmont Park West, venue and a music incubator that's been serving the community in bringing musicians to town and helping them with their business. And so deploying some ARPA funds and bringing out these programs to activate the streets. We'll be doing an event in Boulder Junction on September 28th at 5 p.m. The concerts are all going to feature Boulder musicians, emerging and established, as well as some regional acts. And we have a flyer. I'll make sure that that gets circulated to everyone, and you can help us to spread the good news and make sure that's a really good event. And hopefully we're still working on if we can do a little bit of an unveiling of the wayfinding totems that are out there in around the district at the same time. So we'll have more of a celebration of the neighborhood at that time. So just want to make sure there weren't any questions about that. And obviously when we give you the flyer, if you have any questions, you can let us know that too.
Great. Thanks, Matt.
Well, back to Matt, we have an update on the work that we shared with you at the last meeting regarding our look at all of our general improvement districts as it relates to the city council priority that's been established around commercial area connections and quality of life improvements. And so Matt is the lead on the community vitality team in that work. And so has a brief update for you today.
Yeah, thanks. And we did have quite an extensive update on this at the last meeting. If you would like to, sit down and hear that later. But the brief overview was that The district outlook analysis is a project that's about setting some vision and the tools we need to achieve the vision over the coming decades, both looking at the current state and future state in all of our general improvement districts. Some of the developments, and the big one is that City Council did identify at their retreat that connections between our commercial areas and the quality of life in them is on the list of the 11 City Council priorities for the next 2 years. And this project intersects with that pretty strongly. And so Community Vitality is going to serve as the lead in all city departments on moving that work forward. And that priority does imply a lot of different things that are happening across the city, not the least of which is the update of the Boulder Valley Comprehensive Plan, the Civic Area Master Plan as well, our own affordable commercials project. So there's a lot intersecting here. But for the purposes of the District Outlook project, there's this real opportunity in that visioning step to come to some common criteria and understanding of what it means to have a great commercial area. And so we're going to take advantage of this moment to make sure that we explore that. But the priority also drives this work forward with a little more urgency. And so as we have these conversations during our meetings in the next year or so, some of the questions we'll ask are going to sort of move us forward in that, especially in that vision step, because we do need to understand what the residents, the business owners, the landowners in Boulder Junction who are paying the taxes and using the services, what the needs are going to be immediately and into the future. So that becomes really serious conversation, and it's going to be exciting work too, because we get to dream a little bit. And that's a great thing to, even in the conversation we've had so far today and about the mix of businesses, the 24-hour nature of them, the empty storefronts right now, maybe some attention needs to be paid on that. So conversations like that are going to be really important. In order to have those conversations and do them effectively, we're going to be doing some pretty deep engagement. We talked about that last time. And one of the things that, as part of that engagement is to have an advisory team representing the different general improvement district commissions. And so one thing that we'd like to ask today, if there are volunteers, one from each commission would be great, to serve on a group to serve that advisory function with the project. It's going to be not a heavy commitment. We're thinking monthly or less to have a meeting with some homework to review documents and give advice to staff. And we will be sort of designing the way that we use this advisory team together. So there'll be a chance to, as we ramp up, to weigh in on how we can gather and use our time most effectively so that both the commissions are represented directly in the detail of the work and that we're coming back to each of the commissions with updates and including in the conversation. And then as far as sequencing goes, I showed the timeline last time. That's pretty much still on track. We're looking at a council study session in August. There's going to be some other work that's done on the comprehensive plan and some other adjacent strategies that will feed that. So the gathering of the advisory team is not going to be immediate, but maybe in the third quarter we'll ramp up significantly and work for about a year. So I'm happy to answer any questions that I missed. Is that the updates? That's pretty good, right? I'm happy to answer any questions about the project generally, but would definitely look to the chair if there are volunteers to serve on the advisory team. Thank you.
That's great, Matt. Thanks for the updates. Sue, please go ahead.
We get a little email explaining about the advisory committee again, because I didn't catch it all that you said.
Yeah, definitely. I'll summarize it for everyone and send it out.
That'd be great. Thank you.
And maybe that it sounds like if you don't plan to start until Q3, maybe we could choose volunteers at the next meeting.
Fine.
Is that acceptable, Matt?
Well, it's fine with me if the commissioners agree with it.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So if we could maybe follow up with the meeting today with the email just describing what the structure is again, just a short repeat of what you explained today, then we can pick one or two people in July for that.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll get that out to you. Anyone who has questions, reach out when you receive that. I'd be happy to answer that. Make sure that if you're thinking it might be good for you, that you really want to do it.
Sounds great.
Well, that concludes matters from staff.
Thank you. Any actually, short clarifying question about what we just discussed, Matt. This is related to the survey that we took about, you know, how well the boards are functioning, or is this a different effort?
This is a different effort.
Okay.
Yeah, you took a survey from the city clerk's office, I assume, that was about boards and commissions generally across the city. There will be a component of this project which examines how we can best be efficient and best govern given vision that we do. So slightly different contexts, but yeah, that one's different.
Okay, sure. I wasn't sure if there was overlap. Thank you.
Sure. This is certainly much more closely related to the work that's been requested by the commissions regarding analysis of our current mill levy rates and understanding what levels they need to be at to provide existing services and also taking into consideration future possibilities. And so it's really largely tied to that. Council didn't jump on that the bandwagon of the way that you all phrased it in your letter to council, but we've worked to fold that priority of the BJAD commissions into this work kind of in a different way.
Thanks, Chris. All right. Any other matters from commissioners? Sue.
So Community Cycles is hosting with Community Vitality and State Transportation, State Transportation Department. I'll put it in the chat. Bike to Work Day Happy Hour at Boulder Junction. So it's June 26th at Zeal. Let me get the link. So hopefully you guys can all make it and bring your friends, and it would be great to see commissioners out there. There's the link.
Thanks, Sue. Any other comments or questions from commissioners? Okay, not hearing any. I believe that is the end of the agenda for today. Chris, anything else for us before we wrap up?
Nothing further. Just look forward to hopefully seeing everybody in person at the Bike to Work Day Happy Hour, and we'll see you at the next commission meeting on July 24th.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ryan. Great job.
Thanks.
And
Bye.
welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Nice to see you all.
Will we get an invite to this happy hour? Because I'm a calendar person, so I was like, okay, what city will I be in that day? And I can move my calendar to be here on the 26th. Right now I'm not, but I can move it one day earlier to be here. But I wouldn't have missed that unless I was sitting here on this call. So if there's a way to like send out invites about that kind of thing, that would be super.
Right.
At least for me. Yeah. Cool.
Let's make sure, we get invites and see